Hello. So I'm going to just do a little video on how to set up a website from a GitLab repository. I'm going to use Noise, the Scavenger Labs website as an example. So this is mainly for you, Steve, but I'm just going to try it a little bit more generically in case it is useful for other people. The main bits that we're going to look at are where the website is stored in a repository, and that has version control. So if we make mistakes, we can always kind of go backwards. And then I'll look a little bit at what I do in terms of on the website where it's hosted, how I pull changes from that repository. And then I'll also look at setting up a version of it on your own computer so you can make changes there. And I'll also look at kind of how to make changes just on the web at the repository. So this may not make a lot of sense because there might be quite a few new words, but kind of watch it anyway, and it will help. And the actual process of doing it isn't that hard. So let's look at the first bit, which is GitLab. And the thing to do here is to register for an account. So if you register and let me know your username, that's a good start. When I sign in, my username is Mick Foz. I'll see the different projects, and the one we're looking at here is called Scavenger Labs SA Slab Web, so Slab Web. And the way it's set up is that there are web pages inside public. So pretty much all of the web pages, there's the index, show up on the website scavengerlabs.org. So if you kind of look at the source of Scavenger Labs, the view page source, it's the same here as is in the repository here. So what is in public is the same as what's seen on the website. Behind that though, there is also these other folders which are not seen by the public, and we make changes here. The way that this system works, which is called Hugo, is that you make changes in a folder called content, and then once you're happy with those changes, you then kind of run a command called like Hugo, and it then creates the updated HTML pages. If we actually have a look at the content, it's in a format called Markdown, so they're called .md. If we have a quick look at the Making Change project file, then we can see here that if we have a look at the code, we can see that the way it's done, oh, that's not a good example actually. Let's have a look at one that's more straightforward. Okay, so I made that change there. So here, the text is just as text, and then say you want to include an image, you put a little bit of code to include the image. It's probably going to be quite a long video because it's a bit rambling. So let's get back to how you set it up on your computer. No, actually, let's do this. So say you wanted to change that figure. You could click on edit on the website, change it to, let's round up to 54, and click on save. So commit message, you don't really need to put anything here, just a simple update of the figures, and then commit changes. So that then is ready for the website to be updated, but you'd have to contact me and say, hey Mick, I've made some changes, you need to update the website. So that's the most simple way of making quick changes. Beyond that, if you want to do more complicated things like adding in images, then the way to do it is probably to do it properly and to do it on your computer in a text editor like Atom. So Atom, this is set up in this way. It's got the same content, but it's on my local computer. Now the way that this works is I can now fetch any changes that have been made to the repository. So the repository lives online. This is on my computer. I will now kind of fetch changes. It will go and look and see, has anything been updated? I'll enter my password and it'll, oh yeah, there is. I can pull down that change. So it says here update, simple update of the figures. So that's what it does. And it shows the change, instead of 53 it's 54. Great. So that's now on my computer. In terms of what I would do to then update it, I'd kind of go into the directory on my computer and run a command called Hugo. It then updates all of the pages in public, and then I then so update figure new HTML pages. I push that to the server, and so the change that was made in the what we could call the source code in content then gets updated into public. And as a final stage, I then log in to the web server and go to the directory that's visible to the public, and I do git pull. That then updates the public facing one. So if I now go, okay, so if I press refresh, great, so we're up to 54 million there. So that's the workflow. So one of the missing things really is to how to get this information onto your computer so you can make the changes here, and then push them up to the website, to the repository, which is on GitLab, and then say, hey, Mick, I've made changes, and I put them onto the website. So to do that, we can go to GitLab, and if we go to the, once I've added you as a user here, what you would probably do is you would do clone. So you click on clone, and clone with HTTPS is the easiest one to do. So if you click copy and then go to a directory, if you start the terminal, you'll start in your home directory normally, and so you might want to make, and you can do this in your kind of file one here, or you can do it by learning some Linux commands. Say you'd created a new directory in your home directory, called test web. You could then change directory to test web and run the following command: git clone, and then you would paste in the address. So you put in your username and password. So this is what you're registering for to start off with. It gets all that information. and so then we've got that content all there. Then what you do is you open up Atom. So to install Atom, you would kind of do sudo apt get install Atom, and you may as well do Hugo as well at the time, and that will install those onto your computer. So saying, do I want to upgrade Atom? Not right now. Okay, so once you've kind of got Atom there, it might show up here, or you can always start it just by typing Atom on the command line. Oh yeah, now let's do that actually. So I've got two versions, but this is your version control of Git. So to get started, what you do is you do File, Add Project Folder, and then browse to the project folder you just created. Now, because Atom works well with Git, you can click on Fetch to every time you kind of start it up, you can click on Fetch to get any new changes that might have happened on the server. Oh yeah, so when you first use it, it wants you to enter your details for GitLab. So the process of making changes would be to go to just do a pull or a fetch rather to make sure there's any updates. Then you can go into the different posts and you can create a new post or update one. If we have a look here at the Making Change project, we've got an image here right at the beginning, and you'd copy that kind of format for creating an image. You'd put the image into here. It's in post images, and then you link to it in that way. So one way of doing a new post would be to take an existing one, duplicate it, and start to change the information within it. It's good to create an accurate date because it's ordered by dates, and learning the kind of markdown code is pretty straightforward. There's a document called Markdown Cheat Sheet that helps you to find what you need. So you've got your different headers, you've got how to do lists, how to do links, put in images. So often what you'll find is you'll do a little bit of research to find out what you need, and then you'll go back and then you'll go, oh, actually I just want to kind of recreate what I've done here. Right, so here's an image, here's a piece in bold, here's a list, and that's about it really in terms of a bit of an introduction to getting started. So have a look at that, but the main thing really to get started is to register at GitLab, and then I will add you as a user to this project so that you're going to be able to kind of update it.